UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
You're listening to Star Trek Weekly News with me, Tony Robinson. In this week's news, Hanelle Culpepper. Who is she? The Talosians are back. And new characters for Picard. All this and more coming right up. And so it seems that the new Picard series is going to have its first groundbreaking, history-making director in the form of Hanelle Culpepper. Last August, CBS All Access announced that Patrick Stewart, who either through science or unspeakable witchcraft has not aged since 1992, would reprise his next-generation role of Jean-Luc Picard for a brand new Star Trek series. Now the network has landed its director for the series' first 2 episodes, and it's a bit of a history-making moment for the long-running sci-fi franchise. The Wrap reports Hanelle Culpepper will helm the pilot and episode 2, making her the first woman to launch a Star Trek series since Captain James T. Kirk and co. first set out into space in 1966. Culpepper is no stranger to that particular corner of the universe, though, after helming 2 episodes of Star Trek Discovery. The director is a proven talent behind the camera, bouncing around the television landscapes in recent years from Counterpart to Mayans MC to Supergirl to Gotham. She will also be in the director's chair for an episode of AMC's upcoming Joe Hill horror series NOS 4A2, for all you vampire lovers out there. Showrunner Alex Kurtzman had this to say about Culpepper coming aboard. Hanelle is a gifted and dynamic filmmaker whose directorial choices are always deeply rooted in character. I've been a huge fan of her work since she started with us on Discovery, and she's the perfect person to reintroduce the beloved character of Picard to longtime fans and new viewers alike. We're thrilled she's joining our Trek family on this next adventure. Not necessarily Alex Kurtzman's voice, but it was the best I could do. Early plot details from Kurtzman have already confirmed that the Picard series takes place during the aftermath of the destruction of Romulus. We saw it happen in J.J. Abrams' 2009 Star Trek movie, which was written by Kurtzman, an event that radically altered Picard's life. When the show was first announced at Star Trek Las Vegas, Stewart explained why he felt it was the right time to return to the role.
What we have coming up is exciting. It's exciting for me because it excites me as an actor.
Right.
Oh, the story is great. And I've got to be so careful what I say, or they'll skin me alive if I say the wrong things. But it references the present day at times. And that's all I can say, really. Right. I'm not saying we're in the present day. We're not. Right. We're not. But the world that we find Jean-Luc Picard in is not quite the world that we left him in. And with this first series, and this is one of the things that's so interesting about the writer's room, they are writing a 10-hour movie.
Roll on the autumn season and this new series of Picard. Can't say we're all intrigued. Now a bit of mind trickery for you. The Talosians are coming back. Or are they? Well, yes, they are, actually. Fans anticipating the arrival of Spock in the second series of Star Trek will have even more to be excited about. Star Trek Discovery will bring back the very first alien species encountered on the original series of Star Trek, the Talosians. A new teaser recently put out highlights the events happening in the 8th episode of the second season, entitled If Memory Serves. In that clip, the Talosians appear 13 seconds in, but have more of an updated look from when they first appeared in the cage, the original pilot for Star Trek that was produced in 1965. Instead of the prominent blood flow seen in the prosthetic heads of the Talosians, computerized effects now show pulses of energy rippling through their large craniums. Spock provides a voiceover on the montage of clips that begins with Spock's foster sister Michael Burnham leaving a shuttle and exploring what could be the surface of Talos 4. Burnham asks the Talosians to reveal her brother's mind, and it's unclear if the images that follow are past memories or future images Spock believes will happen. Besides seeing the Red Angel, the ominous figure that has been making numerous appearances throughout the second season, ships are shown firing torpedoes past a moon and striking a target that looks remarkably like Earth. A woman, possibly a younger version of Michael Burnham, is seen running away from structures rocketing out of the ground. Other images show a planet blowing up, Spock shedding a tear, and the young woman from before being pulled out of frame, followed by Burnham waking up. Once she's awake, Spock asks her, "Now, do you see?" Talosians had amazing mental abilities and could also create illusions so real they were almost indistinguishable from reality. In 2254, the Talosians kidnapped the captain of the USS Enterprise, which at that time was Christopher Pike. Pike would later be brought to Talos 4 by Spock in the Menagerie, a 2-part Star Trek original series episode. At that time, it was illegal to venture to Talos 4, and doing so violated General Order 7, which stated, "No vessel under any condition, emergency or otherwise, is to visit Talos 4. In Starfleet, breaking General Order 7 was the only crime that resulted in capital punishment. Discovery might shed some light as to not only why Starfleet doesn't want anyone to go to the planet, but also why they're willing to use deadly force to enforce it. This week's episode of Star Trek Discovery should be very interesting, but will everybody see the same episode or a different episode? All controlled by these dastardly Talosians. And now, as we get closer and closer to the Picard spin-off, the first hint of new characters is beginning to emerge. Until now, very little has been revealed about the upcoming series focused on Captain Jean-Luc Picard. However, new casting breakdowns reportedly reveal the show's characters and hint at what the series will bring in its 10-episode first season. The report, which comes from That Hashtag Show, reveals that the destruction of the Romulan Empire in the prime timeline, in which the series is set, will weigh heavily on Patrick Stewart's Picard. Additionally, the story will pick up 20 years after the end of Star Trek The Next Generation, which has also been indicated in various stories across the net. In addition to Picard, the series will feature 7 characters: Connie, Lawrence, Stwn, Dr. Smith from Lost in Space, Kabar, Indira, and Alana. Connie is described as an African-American woman in her early 30s. She lost her husband and has a death warrant on her head from her home planet. She's also a mercenary pilot. Lawrence is also in his 30s and is described as someone with a dodgy moral compass. The character, who is a thief, will pilot the ship Picard takes on his mission. The breakdown hints that he might not be trustworthy. Stwn is terrified of space and specializes in positronic brains. He's interested in the research part of Picard's mission. He is, like his 3 compatriots, in his early 30s. Lawrence and Stwn are said to be of any ethnicity, so expect some ethnicity there. The other 4 characters are described as follows. Dr. Smith from Lost in Space is a hologram. he's not really from Lost in Space, but I had you going for a while. He helps his crew and is programmed to constantly learn but never become too self-aware. Right, that's not going to happen, obviously. He may be an upgrade to the series' emergency medical holograms. Another character is Kibar, a 17-year-old Romulan martial artist who is extremely devoted to Picard. The final two characters are Indira, a smart but socially inept woman in her early 20s, and Alana from the Orville, again not really, a former intelligence officer with an abusive personality in her mid-40s to 50s. Alana, Indira and Dr. Smith are described as being of any ethnicity, so they'll probably be ethnic yet again, while that isn't actually specified for Kibar, because he's obviously from Romulus. As the series progresses, there may be more characters and more casting breakdowns may surface, giving more of an indication of what to expect from the series. But for now, these breakdowns seem to confirm Picard will no longer be a part of Starfleet when the show starts. And there you have it. And we leave you this evening with some news and advice from the Federation Immigration Department. Apparently some misguided entrepreneurs are travelling to Talos 4 to set up barber shops. Bad news for you guys. Talosians don't have any hair, and they've been screwing with your mind. This has been possibly a real podcast from Star Trek Weekly News. We would really like to hear your views on this week's show, and to do that you can send us an email. Just use contact@ufp.earth. We're on Twitter. You can find us at ufpearth, and we'd like to have a tweet from you now and again. And if you want to download our shows, you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and of course Spreaker. We also have a Patreon account if you'd like to support the network. Again, you can get us at patreon.com/UFPearth. And of course, we can't leave the show without thanking our executive producers and founders, Brandon-Shea, Zachary Moore and Ken Tripp, all doing fantastic work behind the scenes. We're out every Monday. I'm Tony Robinson. Live long and prosper.
This has been a production of MTMR Media.